XRP set to approve their ETF today. What does it mean?
Damn, hustling.
Welcome back to the Matrix. You're not just in the Matrix, you are the Matrix. How's it feel, Neo? And today we got ourselves a banger. Of course, the big news is the XRP ETF is supposed to be accepted today, but there's one thing important to note, that it is a leverage trading ETF and not a spot ETF. So the spot ETFs, what we've seen from Bitcoin and Ethereum, those are the ones that actually get buying pressure, not the trading ETFs have had almost virtually no effect. So we could even anticipate a little bit of a pullback today from XRP, sort of a buy the rumor, sell the news type event. Now, the fundamental thing that did come out for XRP today was it's now supported by MetaMask. So that's a big deal. Again, I don't think it's going to be too much with the price action. Let's get into the charts and the TA. Essentially, but the entire market, in my opinion, has bottomed, but I'm anticipating a micro back test for Bitcoin of about $88,000. We've been in this downtrend. We broke out of this downtrend. We have clearly had our accumulation, but I would anticipate a back test at about $88,000. It was just the new moon, and what we've seen is that's typically our local tops, and we typically do have a little bit of a correction after the new moons, as we can see. The blue is the new moons, and what we've seen is a little bit of a correction right after the new moons. That's pretty typical. Now, I don't think that it's going to be anything drastic for Bitcoin. I think it's going to be about $88,000. I have my limit orders. I have a micro short in right now. That's where that's going to close, and then I'm going to flip my trade on Bitcoin. As for XRP, though, I do think that we're going to get a back test, but I think it's probably going to hold about $2, though. This, to me, is your selling climax and your secondary test in phase B. I believe that Bitcoin's going to pull back to about 88,000, but I think that the altcoins are a beat behind Bitcoin. We talked about this yesterday, and that Bitcoin is already working on the sign of strength, and it's deep in accumulation, where a lot of the altcoins are just starting accumulation and just now broken out of the downtrend. So the altcoins, to me, are a beat ahead or a beat behind Bitcoin. The thing that I'm going to be keeping my eye on for sure is Bitcoin Dominance. This, to me, is the UTAD, and the question is, how high are we actually going to go? So this is the opposite of accumulation. This is distribution. So I do think that there's a relatively good plausibility that when Bitcoin pulls back to $88,000, you would expect the altcoins to pull back as well. But I think that we're going to start to enter into a phase where the altcoins are not going to pull back as far as Bitcoin. And when they go up, I think that they're going to go higher. And that's just because of how suppressed and beaten down a lot of the altcoins have been, such as Ethereum, XRP, and others. Now, one big thing I'm going to be keeping my eye on this week is going to be the DXY. And we talked about it broke through, 3+ years of support. The big question is, when it comes back, is it going to get rejected? What was the floor or support? Is it now going to be resistance or the ceiling? My bet is yes. And all of this is happening while Bitcoin has already accumulated, while Bitcoin Dominance, to me, is working on distribution, while the altcoins are working on accumulation, while gold is working on, it went parabolic to the 2618. So all these things have a perfect storm setup, and I do think that we are in the finality of this. Now, that doesn't mean today, tomorrow, or even next week. This is very macro analysis, but I'm very encouraged as where we stand today, especially considering most of the altcoins have this exact same structure right here that we're looking at, which is ADA of your markdown, accumulation, sign of strength, back test of the prior range, move higher, back test again. And of course, this is the same structure that Bitcoin had in 2013 through 2016. And of course, here's the setup. Here's ADA, but we could do that with XYO, has the same setup. Everything has the same setup. We'll roll through it, but you have your markdown, accumulation, sign of strength, back test of the prior range, back test, reaccumulate, move higher, goes above the sign of strength, move higher, goes above the sign of strength, back test again, reaccumulate, and then you start to gruel your way up. It's sort of a grueling process, a disbelief rally of sorts. And here is the end of the story. And there is so many coins that have this exact same setup right now. ADA, Link, Dogecoin, XDC, even Render had it in 2023 before going parabolic, before starting the process over again. XYO, Ethereum Classic, Litecoin, LCX, DOT, Crow, Vitho, Link, and many others. So this, to me, this is a macro analysis. This is not what I'm predicting for tomorrow or next week, but this is the big thing that I'm waiting for, is Bitcoin dominance to start to roll over, distribute as Bitcoin continues to rise. And a lot of these coins, to me, are going to be very, very strong performers if and when Bitcoin decides to make its next leg up. My medium target is about 118,000. My short-term target is 88,000. I think we're going to back test, reaccumulate for a little bit before ultimately going to about 118,000. And when that happens, that is, in my opinion, is when things are going to start to really heat up. And the thing about it is, it's going to be boring until it's not. This is what we see from Bitcoin. A lot of the breakouts are kind of grueling until they're not. You know what I'm saying? So the same thing in 2023, grueling, higher lows until it's not. Big, violent move. And the unfortunate part with retail, they are not going to believe in the rally at all until most likely all-time highs. And I wish it were not the case, but unfortunately that is the reality. Even others, which is everything outside of the top 10, has this exact same setup. So this, to me, others is going to be the real winner of the next macro move in the altcoins, or Bitcoin's move rather. And others is really what we would consider or classify kind of the alt season. And it's the one forgotten part about this market. Someone asked me on the live stream, you know, do I think the way that things have played out has delayed the altcoin season? And that certainly has happened. That is definitely the case at this point in time. I'm not going to be married to a time. You know, you're hearing a lot about sell in May, go away. I don't care about the time. I'm looking for structure and letting the market come to me. I'm in a place where I can be patient. If we get a pullback, I'm going to accumulate. If we move higher, I'm going to de-risk. And it's going to be as simple as that. Especially for XRP is the one big one, where I accumulated a lot of this at 20 cents, 30 cents. If we pull back into the dollar range, I will reaccumulate. I sold 40% at $3.33. If we don't pull back, that's okay with me because I had a huge spot position on this, and I would just continue my normal plan, which was to de-risk at $5, $8, $12, ultimately holding 20% forever. But that's going to be it for this time. I appreciate you guys. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow me on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch. I will never message you. And make sure you hit that bell icon. We're getting these daily uploads out every single day, trying to bring you guys as much value as you can. But that's going to be it for this time. Peace, love, prosperity. God first, God bless.
Damn, hustling.